literally everything here. So as I struggle my way through the unboxing and get to the controller, the first impression of it is also really nice. I am a big fan of this controller. Now the PS4 controller to me was fine, but I actually liked the Xbox Elite controller more because it's a little bigger in my hands, it fits well, it just feels higher quality. So I was hoping actually for a bigger, more solid PS5 controller, and that's exactly what we got. It's more comfortable, the stems are a little bit longer, it's a little bigger, but it is still really lightweight, so that hasn't changed. But to me, yeah, this controller is a pretty huge win. You can see the layout is basically exactly the same: triangle, square, circle, X on the right, arrows on the left, trackpad in between, dual joysticks. And then around the back, there's no removable back anymore. It's just a built-in rechargeable 1500 milliamp hour battery, and the port to charge is thankfully USB Type-C. Now I'm excited to test this controller's haptic feedback and new improved triggers and the responsiveness and all that stuff, but as you could probably tell already, the embargo for today's video is just unboxing and hardware, so I can't show that yet. But yeah, for now, the triggers are a little more firm. But anyway, a couple other things you might notice. The microphone's still at the bottom here. There's still the speaker and the PlayStation button, but now there's no more LED light on the back of the controller. That was like a staple of that controller. Instead, the light is behind the trackpad now. And at the bottom here, underneath the light, you'll notice some pins on either side of the headphone jack, and that's for the docked charging, but we'll get more into charging in a second. But again, by far the coolest part of the design of this controller is the texture on the back, and it's again made up of those tiny little shapes. It's subtle, but you can see the embossed X's and O's and squares and triangles. This is something you might honestly never notice if you were never really taking a super close look at the controller, but it is there and it's giving you grip. That is a nice touch. Sony also made a DualSense charging station to charge two controllers at once, which is very smart. I've never actually had any sort of dock for my controllers, so for me they always just kind of sit around next to the console, plugged in via USB to charge. But I think for two controllers, I'm probably gonna wanna get this thing. It comes with the dock itself and then a pretty long power cable and brick, which plugs into the bottom. The controller lines up the pins at the bottom with the pins on the charger, and it just pops right on. And it faces upright so you can see the charging LED color behind the trackpad to know if you're done charging or not. It's great. I kind of wish the dock was a little heavier though. Like it would feel higher quality if it was a more solid base and I could just slam the controller in there. But the rest is great. You're freeing up USB ports on the front of the console, and if you can spare another wall outlet for this charger, seems like a good buy. Also, the click-in is very satisfying. Oh, they should have done magnets though. That would have actually been kind of sick if they had MagSafe technology in the PS5 dock. You could just drop it in there and it would line up on its own. But I don't know, maybe next time. Okay, real quick, let's also take a look at the new headphones and the camera. So the new Pulse 3D wireless headset here is pretty distinct. This is a design that looks to be like super minimal. It's this white and black headset for the PlayStation that'll do 3D audio with certain games that support it. So they drop dual microphones in here for better audio quality and noise cancellation, and they promise a 12-hour battery life. Getting them out the box, the headphones themselves, they look crazy. They look pretty massive and very unique looking. So they look like someone was challenged with the design to make the ultimate, modern, minimal pair of headphones. And they came up with this. Now it does have USB-C charging, great. Has a 3.5mm headphone jack to plug straight into the controller, and a USB dongle to connect wirelessly to the console or pretty much anything else. But yeah, the headphones. The material here is almost entirely plastic again, which is fine, but they also have this unique dual band design where the bottom is this sliding rubber band for fit, sits on your head. The ear cushions are super thick and soft and comfortable, and the whole package is pretty lightweight, so that's nice. USB-C charging, microphone mute button, all the controls are at the bottom, including the sliding power and the LED indicator. It's all in the left ear cup. It's really sleek and pretty cool, but I don't know. I feel like I'm not gonna use these no matter how nice they make them, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, do you guys use the Sony PlayStation headphones, or do you use third-party headphones, or just use the speakers on your TV? I'm kind of curious what that ratio is like. Maybe let me know in the comment section below. So these are cool, but I probably won't use them. Then last but not least, the HD camera. This will probably be the least purchased official first-party accessory, but let's be honest, for people streaming their games, this is probably going to be the camera to buy that integrates with the whole system and of course matches the whole aesthetic. It's a 1080p camera, It's got a built-in white stand that lets you adjust the angle. So if you put it below the TV, you can point it up. And if you put it above the TV, you can point it down. But yeah, there you have it. Those are all the accessories. That is the PlayStation 5 console. Just a first look and unboxing of the hardware. Conveniently, thanks to the embargo, that is all I am allowed to show you in this video today. But you guys already know, as soon as I'm turning the camera off, I'm gonna go ahead and plug it in and fire it up and start playing some games. I mean, testing. I'm gonna be testing the PS5 over the next couple weeks, along with the systems that are all here. It's Techtober, there's a lot going on. Make sure you're subscribed to see the full review if you haven't already. And that's about it. Thanks for watching.
There we go.
Yes, I brought in the second best person to talk about VR besides myself, and in Chris Shug. So we're going to talk about everything. I've been just searching for every single little factoid I could about PS5 and PSVR and backwards compatibility and where that stops, and what limits it, and what we could possibly look forward to. So on that note, like I said, for all you guys that know where I'm at, I'm definitely, I think Sony's getting a lot of hate. unnecessary hate for how they're treating PSVR. Yeah, I'm not sure how to break into this. Shug,
Well,
how do you feel about the overall? Oh,
before we jump into that, I'll just guys in chat and on your side too. It's total amateur hour. I realized that I didn't have my microphone captured. And I also didn't have your audio captured, so there was no
holy
audio.
moly!
Anyways, guys, if you've
Watching the
watched,
VR grid, it works on this side.
yeah, well, if you've watched Chughead Gaming things, you know that streaming is still a work in progress. But anyways, guys, thanks for joining us. Ryan, you might not have heard what Ryan said, so I'm going to give you the 5-second recap. We want to talk PSVR, PS5. There's a lot of hate going on out there and a lot of bad information. I think we want to kind of tear it apart and look at it from a more balanced point of view. We want to hear what you guys think about that too. And yeah, and in addition to that, the Virtual Boys logo that you see guys down there, Ryan and I have known each other for years. We've done separate channels, and I think we both had a bit of a desire to do something together. So we're gonna try doing some. We're figuring it out. It might not even be Virtual Boys, so let us know what you think of that name. But it's gonna be something that's probably gonna be some multiplayer gaming, some live chats. Maybe we'll do something in person too. We actually live like 20 minutes from each other. Small world. But anyways, with that out of the way, thanks again for joining us, guys. And now, Ryan, as you were.
Yeah, so okay, I'm gonna repeat myself here, guys. But yeah, I think we're only like 6 days out, 5 days out from PS5, and everyone going forward is kind of really us PSVR guys. We're really looking forward to seeing what the benefits would be of the PS5 next generation on our headsets, and what does that mean, and all the games we missed out on, and now we're gonna get those games. It's gonna be so awesome. And then as details came out more and more, um, it's very much fact now that beyond backwards compatibility, there really isn't much else offered by PlayStation. And following Twitter and Reddit and Facebook and all those social media platforms, there's just a ton of hate. I'm selling my PlayStation. I'm going to get an Oculus Rift or Quest, and this is bullshit. Sony's abandoning VR, and a lot of hate. And so when I responded to that in my live stream by myself, I kind of responded with not hate, but I definitely kind of came back with like grow up, people, like stop being so entitled. And that's a bit harsh. I didn't mean to come off quite like that. That being said, my views haven't changed. I think Sony's making it very easy for PSVR users to make their choice to upgrading, and the answer is simply don't upgrade. There isn't one reason out there really, other than like the conjecture that maybe games that use dynamic resolution might be better. We don't know if they're better yet. No one has tested Rogue Squadron Squadrons.
I call it that too all the time.
Look, they come on, they call it Squadrons, right? But no one's tested. Like, that's one of the games that uses dynamic resolution, and no one's tested the PSVR version of that to see if it works. So we don't know. Like, basically the benefits of PS5 and PSVR, other than loading times. I guess loading times have been noticeably improved, up to like 2.5 times. So in games like Iron Man, where it used to take 2 minutes to load, now it takes like 1 minute to load, which is great. But honestly, to me that's a minimal upgrade.
But
But
let
before
me
we yep,
let me jump in there
yes,
quickly. Just on,
absolutely.
let's talk very. We might forget to go back to that. One of the things that I thought was incorrect with the sites that were reporting about the quicker download speed. It's like, yes, but it depends on where you have it loaded. Because what I was hearing was that PS5 games have to, if you like actual PS5 games, must be on the new solid state drive. And PS4 games, which is what the PSVR games would be, they can sit on a external hard drive. You can literally take your external from your PS4 and just plug it into the PS5. It'll recognize it, and you can play all those games. Or you can put your PS4 games onto the solid state. So I'm going to bet you, though, that quicker reload speed is 100% solid state. So it depends where you install those games. So it's not,
That makes sense.
you know what I mean? It's not like a simple, like, it's faster. So I think that's why that is the one PS5 upgrade that's going to probably affect all PSVR games. And it's a straight up thicker pipeline, of information flow. So that is awesome. Iron Man being a really good example of that. But sorry, that's all I wanted to jump in there on. Go ahead.
No, no, no. I mean, I could keep rambling on about this, but I mean, listen. Basically, where I come down to is I think Sony is um they're doing a terrible job at communicating this stuff as far as like PSVR users go. But I think the community, not as a whole, but the vocal community, I guess, is kind of coming off as um, being a little more demanding than we ought to be. And it sounds weird because I don't want to sit there and downplay our importance. PSVR has a huge importance to the VR industry, but like just stats wise, we represent PSVR owners to PS4 owners are I had the number here, 4.17% of PS4 owners have a PSVR headset. So we are a tiny market to Sony. And especially with the PS5 coming around the corner, they've obviously shown that they don't not say they don't care, but the focus is definitely on PS5 and flat gaming for very obvious reasons. This is their new flagship console. This is something that's going to sell millions upon millions of devices, and I see why they're ignoring PSVR because that peripheral is it adds a layer of confusion that people just it makes things more confusing if you make it um, beyond backwards compatibility. I'll let you talk here, Shug, because I want to
Well,
get to more stuff here.
I
But
think.
like, how do you feel?
Well, okay. I think I'll get to my overall feelings in 1 second because I just want to say that I think that what people need to understand, because I'm watching chat here and I see Nicholas there, Nicholas Perret, if you guys don't know, he's from 3D Rudder fame. He's saying that, stable frame rate, and he'd probably know his shit. I think that it's not like we're going to see, I think, like higher frame rates, at least right now. It's not like it's going to boost because that comes down to coding, but stable frame rate, I think Nicholas is dead on about because it's just gonna again it's just not gonna have a falter to it because what we've heard is that the backwards compatibility will run like a pro and I would imagine it's gonna run like a pro on steroids, so there's that. But I think the adapter that they're sending out for free and battle mode there, I have heard of them showing up in mailboxes. We've seen one in the wild, but Ryan and I don't have ours yet. We're Canadians. We'll get them last. But and they'll probably make us pay for it too. But anyways, the whole thing about the adapter I think is very key for people to understand the technology. I was talking to Jason, the Livinator, and he was saying that his biggest frustration is people just not understanding the kind of almost analog versus digital tech that's going on here, and that the PS5 is just in a different generation, so even its camera is just not going to be. It's not tracking light anymore. It's just they're moving beyond that. And I said to my feeling about it is that I think Sony is not abandoning the PSVR, definitely not abandoning VR. They've made that clear that in a year to two they're going to play their hand, and I think that's a big thing that people need to keep in mind is that taking our emotions out of it and how much we love our PSVR, and it's the grandfather now of quality VR headsets in many ways. It's your old Oculus is now in the closet, like like your old DK whatever it was. The PSVR is one of the OGs kind of kicking around, and it's got life in it. We've seen that, but I do think Sony's easing off the gas a bit. And for those of you who don't know, I actually have a marketing background, so I look at things often like that. And I think Sony had to do this because you've got kind of the old PSVR, which is a lot of PS3 tech too. And then they've got this shiny new PS5, which they want everything on that to be next gen. And so I think it's great that they're supporting us. I'm not surprised to see them limit it to the PS4 backwards compatibility and letting it live there, because I think that when they launch their new PSVR headset or whatever they end up calling it, their next foray into VR, they want that to be the PS5's VR headset. And I think and they're going to want that image of here's your new headset, your new system, completely next gen. And the fact of it is as much as it sucks, Sony at some point has got to put a flag in the ground and say, we're moving forward. Like, I found it very frustrating as a pro owner to not be able to have pro only games and pro only enhancements. I mean, if Sony had taken the stance to go pro only, we would have had Gran Turismo running like the full game in VR, multiplayer and everything. Like they made that very clear that was holding them back, not being able to go PS4 pro only. But I understand why they did it. They don't want to abandon a bunch of players, and that same attitude is actually what I think is in play here. They don't want to say at this point, hey, PSVR guys, some of your games only run on PS5 now. Like, it's the same division thing. I think that they would like to put a division in place and go, This is that generation of VR.
Yeah,
Done.
and I totally, me and you are echoing the same points here because I mean, like I said, I mean, if Sony tomorrow announced that they're gonna make like PS5 exclusive titles for this headset for PS, like that's fine. I'm not gonna be like, no, that's crazy. But from a marketing standpoint, like you said, the idea, like assuming that the next headset's coming, assuming it's with the PS5, um, what people want, I mean, like I said, Gran Turismo was an example of that, where let's just say, and I used this example in my other video, like Gran Turismo 7 releases exclusively for PS5 VR mode. So you can use the current gen headset with Gran Turismo 7 on the PS5, but not on your PS4 Pro or OG. So now you have this headset that works with your PS4 Pro that is now only playing PS5 games, but it's still using that old PSVR tech. So when PSVR 2 comes along, your Gran Turismo 7 game doesn't work with that tech because that's with light tracking. Like there's it creates this huge confusion because, like I said, this is outdated. This is old tech. When PSVR hit the market in 2016, right out of the gate, it was like kind of like it was the one lacking behind. Like the resolution wasn't as good. At the time, it was fine. The move controllers and stuff were not ideal, but they sort of worked. Um, but I think the Quest had a huge factor in kind of pushing VR along faster than anyone expected. I think even it caught Sony by surprise, and this is pure conjecture on my part. But I think Sony's plan was always to have this thing go for 6-7 years, um, just because that's how consoles work. And I think
Yeah.
Facebook and Oculus has basically just said, screw. I mean, Facebook has buried their own headsets like twice over now. Like Gear VR and stuff is dead, replaced by the Go, which is now dead, replaced by the Quest, which is now
Yep.
doing its best to take over from the Rift side of things. And like Facebook doesn't care. They have infinite money to put into this and they are doing that. Whereas Sony has a plan. And I think their plan from the get-go was 2022. And just because the Quest 2 comes out, just because we're getting new PS5, it doesn't change their strategy. And I think it's caught them off guard for sure. But I think to rush anything out now on their part would be a huge giant mistake. Sony is very good at planning. Like they maybe not in their message, but behind the scenes, they like PSVR was in development for like 5 years. We
And
didn't hear about it till like
well,
2 years before that.
yeah, and it originally wasn't even going to be released. It was just a prototype that they're like, holy crap, we're onto something here. And I think that to your Quest comment, I think that that's I think the Quest is a very interesting kind of experiment and case study, I guess, if you will, to kind of keep an eye on, because I think that my conspiracy theory is that the Quest 2 was not going to release until 2021. I think that I think it was far along in the planning stages. They knew where they wanted to go, but I think that the pandemic and just the way of the world becoming very virtual, and like a lot of and businesses going virtual. I think that Oculus smartly went, that's a massive market for a new iteration of the wireless headset with a sharper display, and lighter and more comfortable, which is like what they've been focusing on, because that streams business applications. And when you look at their presentation, they pushed pretty heavily about this new virtual office program that they're going to run. So I think you're dead on, and I think that Sony got caught really off guard, because I think Oculus slammed this thing through, and I think that's why it came out of nowhere, because we're like, what? And it's releasing in 2 months, and the price point too is deadly. Like they're probably taking a hit on that.
They
Um,
got to be.
and again, I think it's just install base. So I mean, I see that as a good for VR period, but it puts Sony in a weird place. But at the end of the day, we're 4 million headsets versus like what are they at? 200
5
million?
million. They're saying 5 million headsets now.
Okay, let's say we have five. We're still going up against what, 200 million, probably somewhere around there. PS4 headsets out there. The PS5 is going to crush. The PS5 is going to pass PSVR sales in its first couple of weeks, probably, and that's just and that's the reality of it. And Sony, you can't blame Sony for not catering to us. But I do think that it's Sony is not. They have never communicated well around the PSVR. It's
No.
always been a touchy subject. I had the opportunity to talk to one of the guys who worked on the marketing side of PSVR around the time we got the State of Play that was all very PSVR centric with No Man's Sky announcements. And the pushback that came from that from the flat gaming community was there's a lot of fear there. Don't tell me that VR, I don't want to have to, tell me I have to have VR. I think Sony is very cautious of that, maybe too cautious of that. I had said that what I thought the perfect play for Sony would be do everything they've done around the PS5, but just mention it maybe a little more clearly that it is PSVR 2 ready. Just put it out there. That would help, I think, a lot of us just shut up because we'd be like, okay, it's not like it's there. We know. Because the PSVR 2 compatibility is in there. And they did say a long time ago that it was VR compatibility was baked into the PS5. But they've gone quiet on that now. And I'm reading chat here, and I know some people are still saying that they think they're gonna get a headset by the end of next year. I would say maybe. I wouldn't be stunned if Sony put a headset out next holiday, but I would still bet, if I had to bet, I would say that they do a late summer fall announcement for PSVR 2, and start the slow game on that, and I bet you spring 2022, which is around the same time that the Switch launched. The new Intellivision's launching in the spring. It's becoming a new launch window for consoles, and I could see Sony doing that and also steering clear of any of their big fall games coming out in 2022. Like, I think that's reasonable.
Well, and to your point, I'm going to read the Jim Ryan quote here. We've all heard it 100 times, but for the sake of the chat, Jim Ryan said in his interview there on the Washington Post, "I think we're more than a few minutes from the future of VR. PlayStation believes in VR, Sony believes in VR, and we definitely believe at some point in the future, VR will represent a meaningful component of interactive entertainment. Will it be this year? No. Will it be next year? No. But will it come at some stage? We believe that. And we're very pleased with all the experience that we've gained with PlayStation VR, and we look forward to seeing where that takes us in the future." And it's been back and forth in those comments where he wasn't talking about PSVR, he's talking about VR in general. And he was. I mean, the wording doesn't say PSVR 2 is in, not this year and next year. But as the head of a company addressing VR, if you say, assuming when your next headset comes out and you're going to market it as the next big headset, you'd have to believe that he's talking about. I reading it again and again and again, I firmly believe that he is talking about the PSVR headset. Will it be this year? No. Will it be next year? No. Like, will it come some stage? Yes. So to me that screams PSVR in 2022. Like you said, I think we'll get an announcement next year once the PS5 dust settles and everyone kind of relaxes into it. When everyone can get consoles again and no one's crying about not waiting in lines or trying to get just not being able to get a PS5. Once that dust settles, I think we'll start hearing rumblings of a PSVR 2. And I think Jim Ryan, he basically said it in that statement. You can, if you want to argue with me, you totally can. Like, he doesn't say PSVR 2 specifically, but that to me just screams that's exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah, and I think that there's also another announcement that came out a little while ago that is, I think, also needs to be stated. And I think, again, we're getting into my conspiracy theories, but I think I'm right on this. Is that we heard, I don't even know what it was, 3 or 4 months ago, that Sony, by the way, chat's really agreeing with you here. They're like, yeah, Ryan, I agree with that. Yeah.
Right.
But I think what's interesting to note is that I think Upload VR posted the fact that Sony was hiring for a future VR project, hardware related. But what was interesting and that they made a comment of is that it was not Sony Entertainment, it was Sony. And I think that is something very interesting that us as gamers need to keep in mind too, in that the future of VR, most analysts will say, is not gaming. Like gaming will be a huge component, but VR applications go way beyond that. And if you look at, there's a reason Oculus, jumped in really heavy into investing into VR. Gaming is a good entryway, but they've got their eyes set on a lot of business applications, communication applications, I think given the state of the world right now, that's becoming even more of we can see that. There's a very good chance you could end up having psychology appointments in VR with your psychologist. I mean, I think this is like just, face-to-face things like that. But where I'm going with this is that I would not be surprised to see the next PSVR, let's just say Sony's next VR headset, be very very aimed at the Quest. Probably at this point it'll be the Quest 4. But I'm saying I think that they're going to aim at that headset, and in all aspects, in the fact that it's not just going to be a gaming headset. The PSVR headset was very much like I hate to say it, but like it was a toy. It was, I mean, yes, it's its own console, but it was so gaming focused, and that's very evident in the fact that it like lacked very few social features like big screen or any office applications.
It's coming.
But you know what I mean. But I'm just saying, like, Sony made it very clear when you jump into an Oculus headset, you see how many applications we don't get on the PSVR, that like non-gaming stuff. And I think that Sony's going to bring out a wireless headset that does those things, and also plays games standalone, but then plugs in for the horsepower on the PS5 or wirelessly connects to it. I think that that's a pretty fair assumption, that we're going to see a standalone headset that also tethers to the PS5 in some way.
You want to hear my dream? You want to hear my dream on this, Dantho? Or Dantho? Some rustiness there. Shug, you want to hear my dream on this? Is that it'll be both. It'll be having messed around with the Quest and seeing, I guess Saints and Sinners is the best example I got. Saints and Sinners is on PlayStation, it's on the Rift, it's on all the horsepower consoles and PCs, but it's still, they managed to get a working, and it works awesome, version on the Quest. And I think this is my dream. I don't think this is going to happen. I would love for it to. It was basically having two standards of games. So every game is developed to like to maximize a console, but then still have a portable version. So if I wanted to play Saints and Sinners on my PlayStation 5, and I can play the full awesome, everything's been rendered beautifully, and then I can unplug that headset or untether it or whatever, disconnect it from it, like whatever, and still be able to have that standalone to carry with me. My God, that'd be like I said, that's my dream. I think the odds of that happening are super, super, super low. But the idea of having like Quest has changed my whole opinion on how much being untethered matters.
Yeah.
And being untethered really does change the game. I know I made a comment on Facebook about how I think Quest 2 is currently the best headset to buy. And someone responded, how can it be the best headset if it can't play the best games? And it can. Obviously, you kind of have to, like, you have to have a beefy PC to do that. But even playing some of the things I've played, talking about, like, some of the classics now, Moss, Astro Bot. I've been playing Fit XR. It's so easy to just put your headset on and just go. And that matters to me a lot more than I thought it would. I didn't think I would care about that as much as I do. And now going forward, like, it kind of has to be a feature of every headset. Being tethered sucks.
Wireless is the future. It is. I mean, you guys already know I play all things VR now, as does Ryan, and like, I was pretty excited about the new Reverb G2 just because the resolution on it is insane. Like, it's getting pretty close to 4K, and it's got a better field of view than the Quest, which is a huge deal as far as like really feeling like you're in the world, so you can't see that goggle effect, which is still a thing on the Quest. I mean, the field of view is better on the PSVR than the Quest. It just is. And so anyways, I was really interested for the reverb, but like to Ryan's comments, now I've started playing my PC games untethered wirelessly through my home network. And dude, it's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. Like, I literally just walked up 2 floors in my house and I played VR games, and like almost flawlessly, and with not a lot of latency that I could detect. And that's a crazy feeling. I was walking through Half-Life Alyx in my living room, like walking down the hallway, and I was like, and it looks so good that it starts to really mess with your brain. It's cool stuff, and I think that Sony, we've heard from Sony we've seen what you call it, my brain's just failing me right now, but we've seen like papers from Sony saying that wireless is in the future. They're looking at that. They've got I can't think of the word right now.
You're looking for
patents. Thank you,
patents.
We've seen wireless patents coming from Sony. I think that gives us a pretty good idea of where they're headed with it. Like you said, the Quest changes the industry. And I mean, I've even talked to developers recently. Like when I was on the VR chat show there, and behind the scenes, I got to talk to one of the developers, and he was confirming what I was kind of saying in some of my reviews, is that there's a bit of a shift right now, for better or for worse. We're seeing a shift in the VR world, in the fact that it used to be PC games came out for VR. They looked amazing, and then we got a downgraded port to PSVR. And that was basically, you had your console VR and you had your PC VR. Well, now all of a sudden, you've got Quest in here and selling a lot of headsets. And Sony's got a lot of headsets out there too. And so you're in this weird place now where they're making the game first for the lower end headsets and scaling it up to PC. So PC's losing out a little bit, maybe. Like, we're not going to see an Asgard's Wrath or a Half-Life Alyx as often now, because they're going to make games like Population 1 that you can see lower quality assets. Speaking of which, it's on the screen right now. And it looks good on both headsets, right? But you can tell with some of those assets and some of those particle effects and the lighting, and just, you can see a lot of decisions there were wisely made to run across lower powered headsets. And I think that's where we're at right now, because it's your lower priced standalone headsets that are going to crush. I mean, I can see it in my Discord. There's a lot of youngins in Discord that I didn't necessarily get a chance to talk to in my channel. And like, there are so many quests that are going to sell this Christmas. It's going to be, there's a lot of young, like, there's your Fortnite crowd. Just go there. Population 1 to them I've said it's such a big game because they're going to see that. And it's going to be big on PSVR when we finally get it too. It's going to run really well in the PSVR. But that's where we're at right now. It's catering to the lowest common denominator in some ways, but this is how VR gets big.
Yeah.
This is how it has to go.
I'm with you. Like I think the Quest, like I said, it doesn't play the best games standalone. But what it does, like I said, it's kind of like 3 steps forward, 1 step back kind of thing, where we're not getting the best of the best for the Quest, but what it can do and what it can offer people and the price it comes in at, it just makes it such an easy sell. Minus the whole Facebook and their privacy thing, if you have issues with that. Besides that one issue, it's otherwise, like, honestly, it's a damn near perfect headset for this generation. It can do everything if you have everything to back it up. But even as a standalone, I'm loving it. We're getting off topic with the Quest.
I was just going to say, but it's relevant because, I mean, and I know people don't want to sit here and talk about the Quest, but I think it's very important because it's what is dictating what Sony does right now. Because I think that their plans for the PS5 and the way that they're marketing that, and is a completely separate, it's a completely separate kind of compartment from the way that they're going to market the VR headset, because they've gotten pushback on the flat community. It scares them. They don't like being told they have to play things differently. They don't be like they're console users. They don't like being told they have to spend more money. Mass media hasn't exactly helped. Helped that kind of image of VR, because they just, does it make you sick? It makes you sick. Here's blinders. Here's click turning. Like, they don't help it. They don't help sell it. It's getting better. IGN started to turn the corner. They're starting to like it. Look at the mass media's mass game media. The way that they looked at. I don't think I ever read a single review from any of the big guys who didn't look at Squadrons, not Rogue Squadrons, and say this is played in VR. PC, PSVR doesn't matter. That's the way you play this game. That game, you could tell, was made for VR. And Pop 1 is another example. These are game changers. These make the masses. I've been in online games in Squadrons where I was with all flat guys, and when they found out I was in VR, they were like, "Oh man, that's so sick. How is that? I want to play that." And it's like, that is how Sony, and especially going again back on my marketing background, that's how you win people over. You win them over through example. You make it's a push. You know what I mean? It's a push pull. You make it so that people just can't not have one now. Like, you don't tell them they have to have one. You show them.
Yeah, and I've been saying since the get-go, like we need we need franchise titles. And this is the first full Star Wars game. Vader Immortal doesn't count, where we get a full Star Wars game. Star Wars is a massive brand. However you feel about the franchise currently, it's a massive, massive brand, and it shows. Just like like I said, the media covered VR extra because it's a full Star Wars game, and that's released in VR and out of VR. Um, we need more of that. We need more big name Hitman. Oh, I'm
Yep.
getting some of that feedback again there, Dan or Chug.
Yes. You're what?
That's it. That same feedback that we had before.
I don't know what to tell you, man.
It's only when I talk. Let's see. It seems to have stopped. We'll go with it. Sorry, guys. We had this problem before we started the stream, and it just kind of kicked in now, and we narrowed it down to being a Discord problem. So I'll see if I can get through it. But anyways, so getting back to what we do know, as far as PS5 and PSVR, I think everybody out there now knows it's backwards compatible. But beyond that, what does it mean, right? So the current headset, Sony say it's 99.9% backwards compatible. So basically, anything that you can play on your PSVR, there's some asterisks there. You can play on your PS5 with that adapter and plugging everything else in, right? So obviously you need to keep all your peripherals. The DualSense will not work with your VR games on the PS5. So keep your aim controllers, keep your moves, keep your camera, get the adapter. And that adapter will be sold in boxes going forward. Right now, as long as you can prove you have one of the VR boxes there, whatever you call them, just give Sony your serial number and they will mail you a free adapter. So I mean, that's all on Sony. Like Sony, right there, they're kind of telling you, like if you want the PS5, it's awesome. If you still want to use your old PS4 stuff, you can, but that's as far as it goes. So yeah, so keep your peripherals. Games can't at this time be optimized for PS5 any more than they would for the PS4 Pro. Like you said, there's that boost mode thing where games will load faster, frame rates will be more solid. But beyond that, it's basically emulating the PS4 Pro software or emulating the PS4 Pro in the PS5. They announced that Robinson, the Journey, and DWVR wouldn't be compatible. Since that time, DWVR dev has said he's patching his game to make it work for PS5. So according to Sony, that means the only game that's not compatible with PS5 is Robinson, the Journey. Ubisoft came out after that and said that Space Junkies, Werewolves Within, and Star Trek Bridge Crew won't be compatible. Then they yanked that post and said, "Oh no, wait, that we screwed up. Like that shouldn't have happened." So then going forward, as of yesterday, Road to VR was going to the backwards compatibility list on the actual PS5, and Gollum was listed as being not compatible with PS5. I can't test that myself yet, but Road to VR said, yeah, it's listed as being it's not going to work on PS5. So not sure what that's about, but Gollum is listed by Sony on the PS5 to not work. Going forward as well, other games that won't work are games that support companion apps.
Hey,
So
Ryan,
games that
I'm
use
going to stop you there. Are you still
okay,
getting that feedback in yours?
I am.
Because oh, never mind. People are saying it's better. So, hey, Dave. By the way, thanks for joining us. Now it feels like a legit stream. Uh, we're he was saying our sound was off. Now, on obviously, I think it's on my side. I just turned down our overall audio. They're saying it's better now. So carry
Yeah,
on.
okay.
I wasn't sure if maybe they said when you talk especially, and I think that might just be my settings here. So
Oh, okay.
thanks guys. We're just we're getting settings dialed in here as we go. So sorry to cut
Blame
you
Chug.
off, man.
Blame
Sorry
Chug.
to
No,
cut
it's
you
all
off.
good. So the final list, the final thing I was getting to, is that PS5 games using PS4 backwards compatibility cannot use companion apps or the PS4 second screen app. So games like Static, which has a multiplayer component you can play on your phone, dead. Other games like Bout of Blood and Persistence, they also have companion apps. Those no longer work on the PS5, and those aren't too big of deals. But the one that does stand out is Covert, which I'm sure isn't like a crazy popular game, but that game requires a PS4 or PSVR user and a mobile user to play it. And if you can't use the mobile apps with the PS5, that game is also now dead. So even though Sony hasn't listed that game as not working, it won't or shouldn't based upon what they've said. And their exact quote is PS5 consoles do not support the PS4 second screen app or game companion apps. So there's the closer we get to the PS5's release, the more we're seeing these little asterisks where it's like originally there was two games that won't be released, and Ubisoft now with their announcement that these three won't, and then they backed off from that. Whether that just means they're patching it or whether they just screwed up. I mean, I don't think they screwed up. It was a pretty they put out the press statement saying they're not going to work. And I think Sony was like, whoa, don't tell people yet. And I think me and you were both on the same page when we say like this is kind of possibly the start of worse things to come.
Well,
Where
I've been thinking about that when we talked about that. And I think what we're going to see is I think we're going to see, I'm going to see if you guys see it. We're going to see this, I think, in the fact that I think we're going to hear more. I think we're going to hear quite a few more games that have compatibility issues. And then I think what we're going to see is I think we're going to see one of two things or both is that developers that say still have teams together that can address it if it's a minor thing are going to patch their game for compatibility. And it could also just be because we're seeing a few backwards compatibility issues in the flat games too, like Res 7, for example. Right. And I think you could see Sony patch in because it makes sense that as all these games get tried out in various kind of environments, on various generations of consoles too. All the different versions of the PS4 and the Slim and the Pro. Problems are going to come out, and Sony will probably be doing some patching for backwards compatibility. So that's why I say I think we're going to see games like, oh crap, we can't play them, and then it's going to be like, okay, now we can. So I think people need to not hit the panic button and just let this ride out a little bit. You know what I mean? Like give it some breathing room. Backwards compatibility isn't their priority right now, but because Sony's always said everybody cries for backwards compatibility, but it's actually not a feature that's used that often. So
yeah.
Sony knows that going in. The PSVR is a little bit of a different situation because we're a pretty passionate group, but we're not the priority. And I think that I'm okay with that. Like I don't need to be the priority because I understand it. Sony took a huge risk. We owe Sony big for all of us who have enjoyed our PSVR. That was a massive gamble, especially back then. So I think, we got it makes sense what Sony's doing, as much as we may not love the fact that they seem to be putting us into the backseat a little bit.
And I think it goes to Sony's like props to Sony once again for supplying the adapters for free and making PSVR backwards compatible. I mean, it kind of goes with their statements that all PS4 games would work, or at least almost all of them would work. And I think just that step alone kind of shows they're not done with PSVR. It sucks we're not getting like the full PS5 experience on this headset. Um, but like I said, I see why, man. They're looking towards the future, and we have games announced for PSVR, the current headset, as far as like Q3, Q4, 2021. So like we're still getting games. Um, so like everyone just I think just needs to like just chill a bit and not don't these things for some of us this console this the PSVR is why I got into VR. The Gear VR was my first headset, but the PSVR was the next level experience I needed to just sell me on everything, and it's given me so much joy in the last 4 years. I still love my PSVR. I absolutely love this headset. My channel is still based entirely around this headset because it matters to so many people. um like I say, and it still offers you know great experiences. I mean, I know Sony's also kind of backed off on the first party stuff. I would love to see like Astro Bot 2 or any of the Blood and Truth 2. I understand these games take time.
I
I'd love to see more of that stuff.
Yeah, Astra's on my screen right now, so it's kind of interesting timing that you mentioned that.
It's
Um,
crazy.
and I'm not gonna lie, like even as a guy who plays on multiple headsets, when I saw the new Astro's Playroom or whatever they're calling it for the PS5, and it was a flat version of Astro, it kind of got me a little bit. And I was like, man, I feel kind of no, like that was our mascot, man.
But he
Um,
wasn't. He was a flat guy first, right?
I
No
know
one
he was,
remembers that.
but no one cared about him when he was flat. We made him who he was. um,
We
and
made
it
you, Astrobot. We made you.
and it's a showpiece. It's baked into the headset. It comes with the headset, and it's not the headset. Sorry, the console. It's a showpiece for the adaptive controller technology and such, and the HD speaker and everything. I get why it's in there. And people are like, oh, I hope we get a VR version of that. No, you're not. You're not going to. It's not a VR game. It wasn't made. It doesn't live around you like it did in VR. I don't even want a VR port of that because it's not going to live up to the original. Um, and just to backtrack though, I get people's frustrations. Like if for so many years I was only a PSVR headset, and it irked me to see games that I'm like, that could totally run on this, and then we didn't get
Yeah.
it. or we got it years later. And it's like, I get it. I would be really pissed if all I had, like for my VR entertainment was my PSVR and my PS4, and I saw games on the Quest like lower end hardware, significantly lower end hardware on the Quest 1, getting like Population 1, Dash Dash like months earlier,
Yep.
um,
Onward and
Contractors, Onward, Pavlov, the Blair Witch VR recently, uh, for
it's
example,
coming. It's coming. It's coming to
yeah,
PSVR.
but but you know
Oculus
what?
Population 1. Like some of these games are coming.
They are coming, and there's certain games I wanted to address that too. There's certain games that I say are coming, like Pop One, but I think that Pop One's gonna. There are issues that these as we move forward again with Sony's limitations, and that in its current state right now, I think that PSVR people would get wiped in a Pop One match with our controller situations, and the aim would not work in that game currently because everything is two handed. You're always climbing and grabbing and flying, and I think that I could see them releasing Pop One just for the PSVR ecosystem with aim support, with maybe just like climbing being an
Press
analog
X to
push.
climb.
I honestly I think that I could see that being a thing just to not cause balancing issues because the flip side to it is with our aim controllers we'd work a lot of them too.
Yeah. No,
Um,
totally.
so there's flip sides that dash dash, competitively will be more difficult without analog sticks. Like it's just because the control setups in dash dash are a little weird anyways on the Quest.
I haven't played it. I haven't played it.
It's all trigger and it's got that the hand grip base too, so you like grip it to slide and stuff. It's a little odd. The hand steering is horrible, so that's I just don't think that's gonna be no one I know choose it as their way to play. I'm just saying some of these games need some tweaking to come over, and they will come. There are certain games when I see it doesn't matter how many times I see other channels that will go unmentioned talk about games that are coming to the PSVR, like you're never going to see Zero Caliber on the PSVR. It didn't run on the PC very well. It runs right now gorgeously. The game is so two-handed based though. Like it's not. It would have to be so reworked, and visually, it's probably one of the most impressive shooters on the PC. It's not the one I would be betting on seeing come over. You'd much likely see Pavlov or Contractors. I'm just saying, games like that, when they say it's coming, it's not. I think that's a pipe dream.
Man, you should see my list of actually. I used to have. I still have this list of games that were announced for PSVR, or they said PSVR support might be coming. There's got to be at least 100 titles in there that just either never saw the light of day or just saw like a quiet PVC release and never again. Um, like, so we've lost out on so many games because of the OG PS4, right? Subnautica was one, and so was Seeking Dawn. Seeking Dawn? No, that's not right. That's right. And there was a third one as well. But they said like the PS4 is holding us back. We just can't make it run, right? And that'd be a problem going forward with making things PS4 and PS5 compatible. Just to get back on track here a bit, is having PS5 games running on the PS5, but still compatible with PS4, and then having to make them run on the Pro and the OG. You just have to strip back so many things that it just doesn't make sense to these developers. And once again, we're a tiny market. The current PS4 headset is 4.17%
Yeah.
of PS4 consoles sold, and that's PS4s in total. I don't know how many Pros that is. The only stat I could find was from 2017, which I'm sure is outdated now because you can't get an OG PS4 anymore. Um, but even then, that number gets smaller and smaller. And with PS5 and PSVR, that's even a tinier number. So even if there's, like what 500,000 PS, like I think they said there's 2 million. Am I wrong? 2 million PS5s available this Christmas in North America. Am I making that up?
To be honest, I completely can't.
I could be
I
making that up.
can't even remember. And you know that they're making those things as fast as they absolutely
But it's a small
can.
number because they already said that they've already basically apologized in advance that not everyone's going to get a PlayStation 5 this Christmas. So they're not going to have a stock to meet demand. But how many of those people, anyways, are going to be PSVR owners? And then let alone like even me and you talking now, we're kind of preaching to an audience that loves PSVR. I mean, I just finished Last of Us. I bought the game when it launched the day of. I just finished it now. It took me 6 months to play a 30-hour flat game. I play VR way more than I play flat games, and I'm sure that kind of goes for a bulk of our audience. We love VR more than we love not VR. Bad words there, but so I think we're definitely we're we're more passionate than the average user, and even people out there. I mean, I see people all the time. Oh man, I just plugged my PSVR for 6 months of just letting it gather dust. Look, what should I play? Like the passionate VR user, PSVR users out there, we're a tiny branch, and I love the passion, but we need to understand that we're a very small piece of Sony's pie, and the fact they're still supporting VR, um, look at Microsoft. They won't even touch VR. I mean, the closest we get is their little Windows mixed reality headsets, which up until the HP Reverb 2 have been kind of a joke. As far as VR headsets go on the PC side of things. I mean, they're cheap for sure, but no one's like, oh man, I love my new Lenovo, whatever. No one talks about the Lenovo, whatever, because they're just not that great. The controllers are flimsy, whatever. But the Reverb kind of changes that a bit. No one, I haven't, I'm not getting it. I know you are, Shug.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a game changer as far as their headsets go. But as far as the Xbox, they're just like VR. Nope, I'm not.
I
No,
think
we don't care about VR.
I think the Reverb is going to end up on the Series X. Just
I hope so.
as a side note, but Microsoft and HP made that too, together with Valve. So I think that there's I mean it's running on Windows Mixed Reality. So I think there's a good chance it could show up there at some point. But again, it's just like they're in the same boat as Sony. They don't want to mix messages. And
No,
I mean,
I
and
think that's the message is we don't want to mix messages.
so, as people are saying, I'm just reading chat here, and just to backtrack a little bit, Dave was talking about how he thinks that like the adaptive triggers are going to be a huge game changer on the PS5. So it's unfortunate we don't see those coming over to the PSVR. I think that they're going to be huge for racing games and shooting games. And to be honest, the reason I kept my pre-order for the PS5 was because the adaptive controller. I'm like, I think that's sick as shit. And hopefully they use it. So it's just I don't know. It's an unfortunate place that we're in right now. And I mean, I see people say, and I'll ask you this, Ryan. I get a lot of people in videos saying, what console would you like? What headset would you buy if you were buying one this Christmas? I know your answer, but if you
It's
were,
a
yeah,
Quest too. But I mean, that's a loaded question because my
I
first
know.
question would be every time would be, do you have a PS4? Because every time somebody asks me that question, it's like, well, the first, do you have a PS4? Because unfortunately, the Quest 2 as a standalone is $300. The PS4 or the PSVR still needs a PS4. So you're looking, it's now coming in at almost twice as expensive as the Quest 2. And that's the problem now is the PSVR, which was the underpriced one back when it started, is now overpriced. Um, at least as far as the market goes.
Yeah.
And that's another issue because now you have to or a PS5. If you have a PS5 and a PSVR, I mean that's still a huge chunk of change, man. And so if you already have a console, then PSVR still offers some unrivaled experiences. All the exclusives are some of the best VR games out there, regardless of the headset. I mean,
That's the
Resident
thing.
Evil
Yeah.
7, Astro Bot, even like Firewall, like all these games, these exclusives they offer something that no other headset does. And for that reason alone, I still recommend buying a PSVR in 2020. But now there's more caveats to that. The longer this goes on, there's
Yes.
just more reasons to not. And that's kind of the problem we're running into is where before in 2019, I would have been like, man, got a PS4? Get a PSVR. Like that's the easy bet. Don't even bother with the Quest yet because you're missing out on tons of games. Now, because of virtual desktop and the link cable, if you have that capability, even if you don't have that capability, the Quest still offers something that's unrivaled. But like I said, if you have a PS4 or are planning on buying a PS4 or are planning on buying a PS5, I think PSVR is still a great headset. It's just got shortcomings that we excused in the past that now are becoming slowly inexcusable, if that sounds right.
Yep. It's just showing its age more and more, and
Yeah.
that's. But you're right though. My question to people is, well, what games do you want to play? Um, you know, uh, and even that's not a simple answer anymore because up until 6 months ago, even it would be like, well, what are you going to play? What are the games on the Quest only that you can only play on the Quest versus the PSVR? And the PSVR just destroyed it. Like
Oh yeah.
it's top 10. You could easily come up with a top 10 of AAA games on the PSVR that would destroy everything on the Quest. Now the Quest is getting its own Oculus funded games. You're seeing a lot of cross buy with and Oculus is spending a lot of money in VR, a lot more than Sony is right now. Um,
Yeah.
and like again, I'm seeing in chat a really good point is for these developers on the Sony. Sony is much more difficult and expensive to make games for, not only because you have to think of porting, and it's different architecture, but it's also their certification process is
Yeah.
a little bit pickier. So sometimes it gets put on the outside as something that we'll get to next if we get enough money from our first releases. It's there's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of reasons to get frustrated about VR as a whole and the way Sony makes some of those things more difficult. But I don't know. I mean, and so to answer my own question, in a perfect world, I'd say you got to have both headsets, man. Like,
Yeah.
I don't agree with people who are like, I'm selling my PlayStation VR for a Quest 2. I'm like, don't do that. Like, there's some amazing games. But if you can only
Yeah.
afford one, it becomes a different question. You know, they're in a weird place right now. I don't think 2021 is going to be an awesome time to be a PSVR owner. I think you're gonna have a lot of frustrations on you. But
Yeah.
when games come out like Hitman and Sniper Elite VR, and the inevitable surprises, um, it's gonna hurt to not have one too.
Oh no,
I mean,
totally. Totally.
I've played Alvo. You've played Alvo. Um, I can't talk a lot about it, but you're gonna love it. Like it's when it gets its once it gets its feet underneath it, gonna
Yeah.
be a lot of
No.
headsets playing that, man. Your aim controller is gonna get some use.
Yeah.
Um, and that's Sony only for now. So it's just they're in a weird place right now, but I definitely don't think it deserves the doom and gloom.
No, and I think just kind of I want to start wrapping this up pretty soon here. I think it comes down to like people saying like, well, I'm not buying a PS5 because it's not doing anything for my VR. And right, exactly. That's the whole point of this whole how whatever Sony's lacking message. The one message has always been clear, and that's if you're not getting upgrades, so don't upgrade. I mean, you can wait. I mean, no, like this is the first time in my life outside of the PSVR I've actually bought a day one console. Bought in? Jesus. Um, but
It's a Canadian thing.
yeah, whatever. But and how many times have you heard every generation since like basically PS2 about launch consoles having issues? Um, like Sony's message for VR is very kind of wishy-washy, but their message towards um like people in general is like if you want the next gen tech, it's here, but it's only for next gen tech. If you want it for backwards compatibility, it's there, but it's got some jank to it, right? I mean, like I said, we're missing out. There's just games that aren't going to work on PS5 that work on PS4 Pro or PS4 in general. And like I said, I think the message is very clear. If you want to buy a PS5 for flat gaming, your PSVR will work. If you want a PS5 for PSVR gaming, you're wasting your money. It comes down to that message, and I think it's that simple, and it makes it easy on PSVR fanboys. I mean, don't buy a PS5. It really comes down to at least don't buy a PS5 yet, at the very least. I mean, I've heard teases of something happening next year as far as like VR goes. I don't know what that means. I have no that's as far as it goes, like teases. So maybe down the pipeline something might change on Sony's back end where they start with making PS5 games for PSVR. I doubt it,
But
but
that's the thing. We don't really know how Sony's
no,
going to play that, and that's a big point. We don't know yet. It doesn't look like it, but again, the big thing you guys got to remember is Sony also does not want to talk about it, and not because they don't care about it, but because their priority is messaging right now on the PS5. They don't need it muddied. They've got their hands full just going up against Xbox.
yeah,
And cloud gaming is becoming a massive thing. And it's like these are things they need to deal with. The PSVR is a different conversation. Back to what you said, I wish the messaging was clear. I wish they got right out in front of it and said, like, VR is a priority. It's, and I guess in some ways they did, but they have mixed messaging because we get these comments from, oh, the CEO said this, and oh, well, now we're hearing about these games not compatible, but there's there's an adapter going out, and it's like, oh, we hear it's in the boxes now, but it's like we never really get treated to like, here's your information up front. And it's not like big games media is going to talk about it either, because they're super click based, and
Yeah.
they're not even covering the new consoles that well right now. So it is what it is. Yeah, I was going to say something else around that, but I think it's just it's like a wait and see. That's what I wanted to talk about. I mean, I'll weigh in on my own personal feelings around the PS5 as it relates to PSVR. I have a little gaming dungeon down here that I've kind of made into my studio for the channel. And I have like all my recording stuff down here. So I have a PS4 Pro down here. It's what I use for my PSVR. That's what I play on. The PS5 will go upstairs in the family room. I have no need to bring it down here and plug it in. I don't I don't care about faster load times that much. I'm not going to buy two of them. It's not there. When Sony starts getting a little bit more vocal around their future VR plans, damn right I'll get a second PS5, and that'll become my recording console for that. But right now, keep your pros. Like, the PS5 backwards compatibility runs like a pro. That's what you can take to the bank. They've said that it's basically running pro emulation software.
With a little bit of jank, and that's the point I want to get across. Is it's running pro, but we're seeing these issues pop up. So I think you're getting, in some cases, a lesser experience. In some cases, you're getting a better experience, but that largely comes down to the flat gaming as opposed to the VR stuff. And I'm with you on the same page. I put it out there on Twitter that I was debating on whether to get one or not, or whether to return my pre-order, and I kept it. But like you said, my PS5 is going upstairs. All my VR setup is all downstairs, and my PS5, other than maybe doing some test videos just for fun's sake, as far as PSVR on the 5 and 4 goes, for whatever comparisons I can do, it's going to be my entertainment console upstairs. So
Look,
like you,
there's only one thing I want answered, right? I'm going to hook up my PS5, I'm going to hook up my PSVR to it, and I'm going to, can I properly watch porn yet on this thing? No, I can't. So I don't, that'll be my test. And, if it does run porn, then it is coming downstairs. Other than that, I see no need.
well, and that's funny too. Just to go with the lack of communication here, and I'll laugh. Ha ha ha! Laugh at your joke, Shug. Anyways,
I'm
Todd
funny.
the Futha Muckin Game Cat. Man, that name is tough. He's questioned if I use the PS5 to play VR with the PS5 camera to help me stream live play videos on YouTube, or how does that work? We don't know. Like it goes back to communication. We don't know if you have your PS4, if you can use the PS5 camera to stream your PSVR titles. No one, to my knowledge, has tried this yet. I
But,
don't know. No one knows.
but for anyone who doesn't know, the camera, the new PS5 camera, is totally different tech. We're talking digital and analog here, basically. I don't mean we're not talking digital across both, but as my analogy goes, it is not designed to be tracking balls of lights. Like, that's not its purpose. Right now at launch, that new camera is a streamer camera. Basically, they even have software in there to remove backgrounds and such. So, you know, that's not going to work. And I don't even think that camera is going to be used for VR at all. I mean, they're going with inside out tracking. You almost guarantee that. That's where it's
And if
at
they
now.
don't, that'd be
Yeah.
insane.
So, I mean, and I think that's where we're at. And unless you have more to say, I was thinking that we should maybe do like 10 minutes of Q&A, and then kind of wrap things up. But I'll let you lead.
Don't me and you on the same page. I mean, it comes down to if you are a current PSVR owner and you want to upgrade to the PS5 for VR, don't keep your PS4. I mean, if you're an OG PS4 owner, you'll see some benefits for sure. But if you're a PS4 or PS4 Pro user, you're not going to see very much at all. And like I said, when it comes to VR, there are some limits on some games. Small games, not really popular games, except for Gollum, which, like I said, Road to VR listed as being incompatible.
There's some
I
big one,
can't confirm that.
Space Junkies, which is a Ubisoft title. I
But
mean,
what Ubisoft pulled that statement, so we don't
I
know,
know,
right?
and that's
Like
where
that's the
I think we're in a wait and see.
yeah.
I think really that is where we at. PSVR is going through launch day launch troubles, whether they're whether they're part of the launch plans or not. There's always launch bugs. And as a day one adopter, that's what you run into, and you're running into the exact same situation with the VR. If you buy a PS5, you're along for the ride. But if you're buying a PS5 just for PSVR, don't.
It's a mistake. Yeah, it's a mistake. At least right now, anyways. So yeah, like Shug said, if you guys have any questions in chat, I'll check out my chat. Shug can check out his chat. We'll pick the best questions. I'm just kidding. We'll pick what questions we can, and we'll go and answer for a few minutes. And before you guys answer your questions, this is the Virtual Boys. I'm not even sure what we're calling this thing yet. But yeah, so what I'd like to do actually is me and Shug both stream this separately. We would both love feedback on both streams to see what you guys liked or didn't like, as far as just the format and what we did differently, and what you guys maybe want to see out of this. I'm not really sure. So this is very spur of the moment. This is supposed to be a one-off thing that I started like Wednesday, that has now snowballed into our own thing. So we'll be doing some gaming. We played Population 1 together on a stream earlier before this, and going forward, the plan is to play more games together on a semi-regular basis. But yeah, anything to say about the Virtual Boys as a consumable media thing,
Yeah,
Shug?
because we're figuring it out. Like I said, we're we've had I think we both of us have had a bit of a budding friendship that we've never really capitalized on, and I think that what we want to do on our channels is evident from us also just wanting to kind of buddy up a little bit more. But we'll let you guys let us know what you want to see as well, because right now I think the idea is that we're going to do a lot of multiplayer games and have a ton of fun and a bunch of trash talking, and then have some, when times comes, have some good conversations like this. So weigh in on that, guys. Looking at the Q&A here, I heard someone, Lucas Perez said, do I think they killed the PSVR? We kind of addressed that, and I think the answer is no. And what I said at the front end of this is I think that they're letting their foot off the gas. Um,
Oh, they're coasting. They are definitely
I
coasting.
don't think that's necessarily a good idea. Like, Sony's giving Quest the stage right now. They are. But that's
Hmm.
not but this is not but this is only their first act. So I don't think they're not killing it. Their backwards compatibility and the fact that they're mailing out adapters straight up tells you this is not a Vita situation. They're not abandoning this.
No, no,
You
by any
just
stretch. Like,
have to keep in mind that this is, like Ryan said, if it's a console, this is an old console now.
and I think it, like I said, and it aged quicker than I think Sony expected it to. But like I said, they're mailing out free adapters. I mean, that kind of tells me they're not done. They're letting us use this thing. Um, and like I said, there's games announced all the way into Q3, Q4, 2021. And so they're still releasing games. This thing is by
Yeah,
no means dead. It's just like I said, it's just aging out. That's
you
all.
you have to look at it as a standalone console, and I think if you do, things start to make a little bit more sense. Because if you look at it as a peripheral, you get pissed that they're not supporting it. But
Yeah.
in its own console lifespan, like let's go back to stuff people remember, like the SNES got like Donkey Kong 3 when like PS1 was coming out. Like, it had some amazing titles left in it, but they were few and far between. And just like the PS3 and the PS4 era, you saw these carryovers of Assassin's Creed and Call of Duty. So the big games are still, and Cyberpunk's still going to be on the old consoles. You can, but they're going to become few and far between. That's where PSVR is at right now. There's some really exciting things coming for it, but they're going to become less as we transition, and that's just where we're at.
Right. I got two quick comments here from Duran Fan. Of course, I love you, Duran Fan. You kick ass. Not a question, but I want to say both of you are my favorite PSVR game reviewers. Aw, thanks, Duran Fan. And Kev Grit also kicks ass. He says, I think you should call it Virtual Boys to Men. I actually don't mind that, but it's a bit much.
No,
Um, and then the actual question I had here was, do we know if our external HD will connect to PS5? I'm running 5 externals via USB hub on my Pro currently. And Todd, you can use the externals, but not at launch. They just confirmed that 2 days ago that the external hard drives won't be supported at launch.
really
Yeah,
interesting.
it's
Because I
it's
watched
crazy.
I watched a video today of a guy doing a live, like he was talking about his usage, and he
Uh huh.
said he plugged his external in,
Oh,
and the
weird.
game
Maybe I
showed
got
up.
the quote wrong.
Well,
Um,
again, it could be one of these things where it might not be compatible with all externals. You know what I mean? Like, it could just be a weird place
maybe
right
it
now.
very well could be that. I want to find that quickly.
But
You
remember,
talk.
remember what I said to you. This is probably where that quote was coming from. The SSD needs to be used for PS5 games. That's probably where they're going with
Oh,
this.
and maybe that's what it was.
You know, so your external hard drive is
I got it
good to go
right
for
here.
PS4,
Sony confirms the PS5 won't support SSD storage expansion at launch.
but that could be for PS5 games. I mean, I know
Uh,
they're not saying, but who knows? We'll see. That's something to test out.
but yeah, it's yeah. Any questions on your end?
Yeah, we've got a lot of people talking about. I brought up the Vita comparison, and now it's just going talking about that. But I think that people were asking me, do I think that they'll do stuff like Squadrons? They called it Rogue Squadron 2 there,
Have
uh,
to.
where the game is PC, plus VR. Um, and he's like, that would be great for our future. I mean, I think we've seen that before, right? And that's something we will see, because we have seen games that are PC games and have VR support, as well. I'm trying to
Hmm.
think. I'm blanking now. I'm trying to think of
Racing
another.
games, Dirt would be one.
Dirt. Okay, Dirt's a good example. So we've seen that. But um, they're going to become fewer and far between. It's just because it's going to be a gap thing. Just because a new PC game is going to come out on PS5, and in its current state, from what we know right now, they're not going to have. They won't switch over to PS4 emulation to run the PSVR side of that thing. Like, I just don't see that happening. Who knows? I'm not a programmer. I don't know if that's possible, but I say it's unlikely. I think you're going to see games that exist on the PS4 side of that area, and so you'll get. I just don't think you're going to see that crossover. So I think my answer to that would be, if the PC game can be has a flat version coming to PS4 as well, then there's a good chance you might see that VR component added in. Otherwise,
Yep.
I think we're going to see them want to keep them segmented. I think it would be smart, as much as I don't like it, I think it would be smart on Sony's side to keep the PS5 completely PSVR 2. Like, that's its baby. That will
Yep.
be that.
I
The
agree.
messaging gets out of control otherwise. I already
Yeah.
had a hard time with Pro support.
Yeah, like I said, it comes to if PSVR 2 exclusive games will work on the new headset, but your PS5 can still play PS5 exclusive games on the old headset. It's a weird message if they go that route. So I don't see them doing it. But I mean, you never know. But I think it's best to keep them separate. Suck it up for another year or two, boys and girls, and then once the PSVR 2 drops, everything will be forgiven.
Well, I mean, isn't that how it is, right? Delayed
Yeah.
games, delayed games. The game comes out, it's awesome, and no one remembers
Oh,
about the delays.
do you feel Sony is doing the right thing for the consumer by holding off on next gen VR? Do you feel Sony risks losing the forefront of VR scene at this point? Shug basically said the same thing. Yeah, they are definitely risking losing that handhold. Oculus Quest is for sure more than likely going to take the spotlight and probably the lead, I would say, next year, as long as Facebook is pumping out enough, making enough headsets. I expect the Quest to honestly outsell PSVR next year, based upon what they said. But Shug, we got to wrap this up.
Yeah. Guys, it's been fun. Unless you got any burning questions in there, thanks for tuning into the the first episode of Virtual Boys.
Hey,
But yeah, seriously, guys, it's been a lot of fun. We'll be looking to broaden this moving forward, as we can work it into our schedules. But yeah, guys, if you're unfamiliar to Ryan, he is Ryan over at the VR Grid, and go check him out. Yeah, especially if you like my style of reviews. He takes a similar deep dive to me, and so you might like another
this is
voice
me and
on
Shug.
that.
This is me
Yeah.
and Shug.
Oh, that looks, yeah. You know what? That's the new name. That's the new name, Snoodle Boys. But
Yeah,
just the tips. Oh, I guess that's been taken. Pumpkin's got that one already. But anyways,
yeah.
guys, from my side of things, I really appreciate you guys tuning in on my side, and please make sure you go check out Ryan if you haven't already. He's one of the better voices on the VR side of things. I give him my thumbs up approval, not only because he's my friend, but because he also is not full of shit like others.
And the same goes for you guys watching my channel, Shughead Gaming. Shughead kicks ass. He does, like I said, very not similar content, but it's high quality reviews for sure. And like I said, once again, he doesn't mince words, and he puts out some really, really good content. And we both cover all the headsets, so if you want to keep up on the latest and greatest in PSVR, check out both our channels. I think we're both great.
Yeah, we're a bunch of Canadian boys, so you know that
Hey,
we'll apologize when we're wrong, at least.
I'm sorry.
And
I'm sorry.
anyways, guys, I guess I'll sign off here then. So again, everybody who tuned in, hit that like button. Damn you
Yes,
guys,
I
hit that
agree.
like button.
It matters. It matters.
And well, like I say, not only does it push the channel and the video, but also it just gets VR gaming because all those VR tags, Google sees that too. So, thanks guys, I appreciate it. And like I always say, to everybody who's watching at home, I'll catch you on my next video.